Hey everyone, welcome to another setup in my journal. This one's for May. May in my journal was heavily influenced by the spectacular March 2026 subscription box from Archer and Olive. It is very influenced by the circus and show business, so I wanted to have my theme be influenced by the same. That means that I'm going to be creating a bit of a different Dutch door for the cover page. This one is a folded Dutch door and it folds in. I'm trying to create like curtains that are opening here. The effect isn't exactly what I wanted, probably because I did not the best job at creating the curtain look on this page, but it is what it is. I didn't really want to mess with it any more than I already had. The great news, though, is that these acrylographs that came in the subscription box are sparkly, so those are going to come in and make this theme look absolutely spectacular, along with the font that I used for May, which is the Kingstone font on Fontspace. I like Fontspace because you can put in whatever you want your font to say, and it will show you a preview. I'm decent at mimicking the font. It's not going to look 100% the same, but it will be close enough for me to be happy with it. So I'm going to open up the curtain and put this Tickets washi tape and this dark blue string washi tape that also came in the sub box. And then I'm going to do my quote for May, which is from This Is Me from The Greatest Showman. It's one of the lyrics, I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. It's one of my favorite lyrics from that song. It's really powerful, and so I wanted that for my quote for the month. Moving on to the calendar / dashboard page, I'm going to be doing a smaller calendar on the left-hand side because I like seeing where the days of the week are on the calendar, and then on the right-hand side, I'm going to be doing my dashboard setup. The dashboard is just a silly little thing that I've started doing this year to try to keep better track of what I need to do for my content. So whether that is filming or editing or posting, that's all on that dashboard, and it seems to be working out so far. But of course we have to color in our heading for May with the acrylographs. The acrylographs are actually more of a bullet nib, so they take a little bit longer to color in things for full coverage, but you will be able to do it. It just takes a little bit longer than you might like with a wider nib pen. I'm also going to be using the Sakura Pigma Micron 05 in blue for all of my lines for this theme. The lines are also going to be the broken up lines. It's just a little bit softer, a little bit less harsh than solid lines. Gives it a bit more of an airy feel than necessarily what you would get with a straight line. And then because it is a little bit visually easier for me to fill this out later, I'm going to be doing a second line highlight on this dashboard with this peachy color. This is the only time I'm going to be using this marker in this setup. I really just wanted something lighter for a second line highlight because I do go over it for this dashboard. Moving on to my trackers for this month. These are some of my favorite trackers that I have done for my mood so far this year. So because this is a circus, showbiz, theater type theme, I'm going to be doing little mini tickets for all the mood. I'm also using one of the ephemera stickers from the Spectacular sub box, and then putting a little mini calendar that I just drew out onto the sticker for my weather tracker. And then the habit tracker is going to be the circular tracker, which I have my handy dandy stencil for. You guys can see that over on the left there. That is my designated ruler slash stencil that I printed for journaling. I've had it for the last couple of years. It has held up amazingly. And the best part is, if it ever breaks for whatever reason, I can just 3D print another one and I'll be back up and running within half an hour. Honestly, it's one of my favorite, most used tools that I have for bullet journaling. I'm going to be doing solid lines for the trackers. I didn't feel like going and doing the broken lines for the trackers. Plus, I'm going to be writing admit 1 over and over and over and over again 31 times, as well as putting the number on these. So I tried to make this as easy for myself as possible. And then I must have lost some recording for the circular tracker, but I did do the broken lines on the circular tracker, and I'm just putting in the numbers for the days. And I'll be adding some ephemera stickers to the tracker. On to my miscellaneous trackers for the month, media stats and notes. As per usual, I'm giving myself just a little bit of space with the notes and the stats. Most of the space on this spread is dedicated to the media that I watch within a month. I really like knowing what I have watched in a month. Usually it's the same series, so I just put the series name, not all the episodes and what have you. As well as any movies that I might watch. I have a weekly online movie night that I do with some friends, so it's nice to be able to go back and see what we watched for that as well. It actually came in clutch one time because we were like, oh, did we watch this movie? And usually we have a poll of some sort or a chat online somewhere, but we couldn't figure out where this chat had gone off to or if we had watched this movie or not. And thanks to my journals, we were able to figure out if we had in fact watched said movie, like a year or two before, and all of us had just forgotten that we had watched the movie for movie night. So that's kind of funny in itself because, we might live in a digital age, but sometimes the hard copies are what save you in the end. But once I'm done with all my headers, I will put off putting down too much decoration on this page for now. I have a limited number of the ephemera stickers, so I'm going to be a little bit picky about putting down too many of them on the spreads before I get to the end. And my tried and true meal trackers for this month. Each of these is 4 dot grid spaces tall. Then each of the date spaces is another 4 dot grid spaces wide, and then it's 12 dot grid spaces, 12 dot grid spaces, and the remainder for the last box on this layout. I only track breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't do a lot of snacks, and if I do have any snacks, I'll just put it in whichever box is closest to the time I had that snack. But it's primarily used for me to know when I had what for dinner, so I know when the leftovers were put into the fridge and how long ago those leftovers were put into the fridge. But because I'm an overachiever, even this spread gets decorated. So I've brought back the ticket washi and the checker washi, and I'm going to be doing the meals header in the same font. This spread is always a Dutch door spread, so I only have to do the header once, because if I'm going to be a little bit extra, I'm only going to be extra once. And as I mentioned, because the acrylographs are more of a bullet tip than a wide tip, it's going to take a little bit to color these letters in with the acrylograph, but once they are colored in, you're going to really see all that sparkle and shine. Then I'm just going to quickly put in the days of the week and the day spaces. Check what day this actually starts on, because these are only used for full weeks and not partial weeks. And then number them with the same acrylograph. And because I'm trying to make sure I have enough ephemera for the entire theme, we will move on to the next spread. The next spread is the first weekly spread, and I'm going to be creating a different kind of Dutch door again. This Dutch door is a circular Dutch door, so the middle is the big ring at the circus. And I'm going to be using some stickers from Piper's bullet journal or bullet point journal sticker book to create the days for this spread. They're just going to be behind the decorative part. Then I'm going to figure out how many of these need to be blue and how many of these need to be brown in order for me to create the decorative center ring for this spread. It's always good to keep your scraps around, because then you can use them to make sure your paints or markers or whatever you seem or are using off of the rest of your spreads and contained to just where you want them to be. Now you might be thinking, why did I decide to use Piper's stickers instead of just drawing those circles for myself on the back side of this? And the answer is simple. It's because I still had stickers from Piper. So I decided to use them, because why else do I have them if I'm not going to use them? So I decided to use those stickers for the dailies for this spread, and save myself a little bit of hassle of having to do those dotted lines. No, they're not going to be blue like the rest of the theme, but I think it's okay to have just a little bit of difference on one of your spreads as long as the rest of your elements are there. And because the center ring is the focal point of any circus, that's where May is going. So I'm just going to take my time and make sure that I get full coverage of all the letters in the center of this ring, and try not to be dazzled too much by how sparkly it is. I decided to add this red ring around the center ring to kind of differentiate it from the rest of the page, and to tie in some of the other colors from the spread. And then I need to tie in this spread to the rest. And to do that, I'm going to be using the Tickets washi and the Argyle Gold and Burgundy washi. And I will trim those once I get everything nice and lined up. On to the second weekly. This second weekly is going to use a bunch of the ephemera stickers. So I'm going to start with the washi first, so I know how much space I have to use for that. And then I'm going to try to figure out a nice layout, and then probably changed my mind about the layout. But then I'm going to try to get these border stickers down. It's going to be a little bit tricky to get the border ones down. They didn't like staying, so I tried a couple of different ways to try to get them to stay and not bubble. And then I'm going to create a box with the one curtain and the dotted lines. All in all, this is a really quick spread to set up because you're just using the ephemera as the boxes, and then you just have to add your font. And if you've done a complicated font like me, it'll take you a little bit longer. But if you've done like a simpler font or even your own cursive, this is a really, really easy way to set up a weekly. You thought we were done with Dutch doors? I fooled you, because we have another Dutch door for this theme. I have this stencil that I've used to create the shape of the boxes on this spread. I probably should have recorded doing that so you guys could see the shape of the stencil, but you're just going to have to try to make do with the pencil shapes and then the shape of the boxes once I go over them with the pens. But if you haven't guessed yet, this page is all about tickets. So the shape of the boxes is going to represent tickets and the ticket washi, and there's going to be an ephemera sticker that has tickets, all about tickets on this particular page. And I think that the dotted lines on this one kind of help this feel a little bit more whimsical, and ties in with the font a little bit. But I started with all the more solid lines, so I've got all of the outside lines mostly done, and then I'm going to do all the pencil erasing and then go in and put in the like tearaway kind of edge. You know, the kind of tickets that you get at a fair or for a raffle, you know, those tearaway tickets? Yeah, those are the ones we're trying to make these day boxes look like, which I think turned out pretty okay. The only thing that would have made them look more like tickets, in my opinion, but would have taken away from the functional part of that spread, would have been to make them look like the Admit One tickets for the mood tracker. But moving on to the final spread for May. That's right, the final spread for May. I feel like that went by so quickly. This one I'm just going to be using the dark blue, like draped chandelier type washi for this one, and then put in the boxes with my pen. The dark blue one is my favorite washi from this collection. No one is surprised. But this is actually going to contain 8 days, because one of the days is the 31st, and because all of my days for a month have to stay within the month. Some of my spreads are multi-purpose spreads, and they have my meal tracking on them as well as my functional spaces for planning. It's not a very glamorous layout, but it will work for what I need it to work for, and it will make sure that I have some space for decoration as well as all of the good amount of space for planning. You can really see the sparkle on this particular angle. Oh my goodness. I did not realize how silver that looks when the light hits it just right. And now I'm going to try to plan out my ephemera for the rest of the spreads. And we'll see how I do. So I decided to cut this one in half because I didn't really have anywhere else to use it, but it kind of works for that spread. And then we're just going to quickly add in all the leftover ephemera I have from the rest of the spreads. See, big ticket. And with that, here's the final flip through for May, a spectacular show theme in my journal. This one is going to be pretty fun to live in. I'm excited to get into it and excited for the warmer weather that May is bringing into where I live. Hopefully May means less rain than we've had in April, which would be nice, but I'm not going to put too much pressure on it. Every time I think we're done with the rain, we get more rain, but that's okay. The rain means that the really pretty flowers are coming, like the one that's in this flip through. They're coming, guys. We just have to be patient. I really hope you guys have enjoyed watching this setup with me, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye!